Our reading from the Scriptures this morning is found in Psalm 27. Psalm 27. Very familiar and comforting words. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even mine enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. And now shall mine head be lifted up above mine enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacles sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Lord. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me, and answer me. When thou saidst, seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Lord, will I seek. Hide not thy face far from me. Put not thy servant away in anger. Thou hast been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me, O God of my salvation. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. Teach me thy way, O Lord, and lead me in a plain path because of mine enemies. Deliver me not over unto the will of mine enemies, for false witnesses are risen up against me, and such as breathe out cruelty. I had fainted, unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. May God bless our reading of his word. The fourth verse serves as our text that God gives to us this morning. Psalm 27, verse 4. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. What do you do when you're in danger? Where do you go when you're hurting? What do you think about when you are suffering a loss of a loved one or some other precious possession or relationship? Where do you go when you're lonely? One thing will I seek after. One thing. The Lord is my light. God is not somebody we must put in a box. and run to whenever we think we need it. But He, and the revelation He's given of Himself, is something that has to be a very real part of our life, so that we're always, as it were, in the box where Jehovah's relationship is to us described. We examine ourselves in the light of His Word, comparing ourselves to Him. And we failed miserably. But He also told us of what He did for us. And that which He has done for us in the death of His Son is that which must characterize our thinking all the time. All the time. And that's what we see this morning. And that's what this text gives to us. The first time that I used this text was at a funeral. I want to go to the house of the Lord. I've never preached on it as a sermon, but it's very fitting for us as we come to the table of the Lord this morning. There are things that David desires. He also shows us how he desires them. And then throughout the psalm, he proclaims how that desire was realized. That's the 3 points that we're going to take as we take a close look at this passage of God's Word. That which he desires, he expresses in 3 different ways in our text. The first way in which he speaks of it is as something that he desires to dwell in the house of the Lord. The second way is in order to behold the beauty of the Lord. And the third way is that he might inquire in his temple. So that's our first point. This is what David desires. He desires to dwell in the house of the Lord. Now, David writes this, so remember what David's situation is. There is no tabernacle and there is no temple in his lifetime. He wanted to build a building, but God forbid him. The tabernacle is destroyed. That's not in existence anymore. The Ark of the Covenant is the only thing that exists. He moved it once, resulting in the death of a faithful servant. And finally, he was able to put it in some facility, whether it was a tent or a structure of some sort in Jerusalem. We don't know, but he was able to put it somewhere in Jerusalem. But in David's mind, the reality of the house of the Lord was a very real thing. A house. A house is a building where people live together in it. The house of the Lord is where the thrice holy, everywhere present, transcendent God is pleased to reveal himself in a very special and unique way in having a relationship. And he's going to live together as friends in a house. Usually not just friends, but relatives, relationships, closest of all relationships. Each one of us were raised in a house where there was relationships, parents to us and us to them. They knew us. We knew them, got to know them more and more. house of God is where God says, this is what I want you to realize to be where I have chosen to reveal myself. Now, again, God is impossible to see, and even in heaven we'll never see him. But Jesus does speak in those familiar words in John 14 of my Father's house. In my Father's house are many mansions. So Jesus was aware that when we go to glory, it will be as if we're dwelling in the house of Jehovah. To dwell, very familiar word in the Scriptures, and a word that always represents, I'm going to live there. As you're going to hear, we've got 4 young people from Singapore that are staying with us for a couple nights. They're here and then they're gone. But if you're going to dwell, you take everything you have and you put it there. That's home. That's familiarity. You can walk with the lights off, take a few steps, and you can hit the switch in the dark. You know right where it is. You can put your hand on the doorknob in the middle of the night and know you're going to hit it. You're familiar with the surroundings. It's home. So David says, I don't want to go to this house just to check it out. I don't want to go to the Grand Canyon just to see how vast and beautiful it is. I don't want to go to Mount Rushmore and see those carvings and then leave. I want to dwell in the house of the Lord. I want to stay there all the rest of my life. So if we would put it into one sentence, to dwell in the house of the Lord is the constant consciousness of the holy God's loving relationship with me. Very personal. The whole psalm. Very personal. Jehovah is my, yes, our, but my light and the strength of my life. So that's the way he's thinking. I want the constant consciousness. I want to live constantly in the consciousness of that God's favorable disposition and love for me. He secondly says it this way. This is what I desire. I desire to behold the beauty of Jehovah. What does it take to be beautiful? What makes beauty? We keep striving, but if somebody says it, well, we're all embarrassed. We all know faults and things that we would rather be different. But let's learn what real beauty is. Real beauty is that face of God declaring and making extremely evident how much He cares, how much He loves, how favorably inclined He is toward us, so that you marvel at the beauty of Jehovah. And the marvel is that He would be willing so to look upon us and still love us. Faith experiences God's beauty in realizing that He says to a sinner, I've paid the price. I've suffered the penalty. And now I adorn you. Now, usually adorning is some raiment on the outside, some makeup. So we cover up blemishes so you can't see the zits. So no. Beauty is adorning us outside and inside with that assurance that God has so forgiven me that He looks at me as if I am perfect. I did everything right. In His eyes, I am covered inside and out with perfect righteousness. One sentence: the beauty of Jehovah is God's loving face revealing we're reconciled. And you don't appreciate reconciliation unless you approach fearfully, because you know what you did wrong and you know what you did to insult and to offend and to hurt. And yet, so you're kind of going a little timidly toward Him, knowing you've got to be next to Him, but you'll wonder, how is He going to receive you? And He's that Father that runs out to meet that penitent son, arms open, ready to tell him He's forgiven him before the son even says, I am sorry. Divine embrace, sweet disposition. God's beauty is when He forgives. You want to be beautiful? Men, women, you are never more beautiful than when you forgive. That's when you reflect His beauty. Before they say, I'm sorry, because you know His beauty is shining on you. The third way He says it is this way: I want to inquire in God's temple. Again, God's temple is where God has revealed Himself in this favorable way. God and His people dwelling together in the same building under the same roof. This is where God shows the altar of burnt offerings. This is how this relationship is established. I want to inquire there. To inquire is to search out God's works, God's ways, God's way of dealing with His people in Christ. I want to search out God's ways of dealing with His people. So to inquire in His temple is I'm going to read. This morning we read Jeremiah 30. Here we read Psalm 27. Don't just read the Bible and pray. But reading the Bible is inquiring in the temple of God. It's searching out what God says to be the way in which He performs His works. What He does, why He does them. Inquiring. I want to search out God's ways. Just take this psalm. What's God's ways? How does God work? I am your light. I am your salvation. I am the strength of your life. I've hid you in the secret of my tabernacle. I've set you up upon a rock. I will never forsake you. Your father and mother Sometimes they deliberately forsake you. Sometimes they forsake being a father and mother when they're angry and they give way to temper. Sometimes they're a father and mother because they're sinners. Sometimes they forsake us because they die, are taken from us. But Jehovah will take me up. He will never forsake. I will look and I will see the goodness of Jehovah in the land of the living. Now, I just pulled out 4 verses out of this psalm. And there's God telling you, this is my beauty. This is what you have to seek after. This is what you have to learn and relearn and relearn and relearn and never forget. Is this what you desire? Is this why you're alive? Is this your purpose in life? Not just on Sundays, but is this your purpose tomorrow? Wednesday, Friday, Saturday? Memorial Day, the 4th of July, and Labor Day? Is this why you are? Is this why you have a relationship? Is this why your back is better? Yes. Yes to all. Now, David shows us that this is not something we have in our life and we can put it in a box and set it aside and go there when we need it. David says, I desire this. And that word desire is not, well, it should be interesting. I might like to see it someday. No. I'm going to pursue it. I'm going to look for it. I'm not just going to think about it. Think once in a while. Oh yeah, I go to church twice. You ought to see this. You ought to see all the cars in the parking lot at the Grace Protestant Reformed Church, and then look at the other church parking lot. Word. We go and inquire as often as we can, because we want to know and be assured, as our sins rise up against us, that the reality of His relationship, that sweet disposition, that warm embrace of a perfect Father to lousy, sinful children, but children of His, so that His arms are always seen as open and embracing. A strong, fervent desire. I am going to seek that. I need to know that. When I'm in a conflict with somebody else, I need to know what his relationship to me is. I don't want that conflict to be so huge that it occupies my mind, steals my sleep, because I'm thinking about what I should say or what I should have said. I know Him to be in control of that relationship too. That problem, that sin, that sickness, that loneliness, that death. I am going to seek Jehovah. He makes it something that's pretty obvious and earnest when He says this is one thing. This is the one thing. Over against all the other things, over against all earthly relationships. Oh, I've got an earthly relationship I really want to focus on. No. This one thing have I desired. I want to be liked, and I want to be known. No. This one thing will I seek after. The desire, David says, I'm going to desire of Jehovah. That shows the seriousness and the correct understanding that he has of this one desire. He desires it fervently, but There's a lot of things the people in this world desire fervently. Possessions, financial security, good business. But David says, this is something I'm going to seek of Jehovah. In the very name Jehovah, once again, I am completely self-sufficient and yet pleased to establish a relationship. You tell Pharaoh, I am hath sent you. This is my people. I've established a relationship. They are mine. You touch them, you touch me. You touch my child, you touch me. They're my children. They're precious to me. What you think about them, I hear and see, and I am going to protect them. They're mine. Jehovah. So when we want to know one thing, then we're going to go to that Jehovah. Now, to say that means we don't go other places. We don't go to inquire and get this satisfaction about how can I be favored by God by looking at, well, I'm a pretty good husband. Not perfect, I know, but not bad. I'm a pretty good child. I messed up a few times, and I got some lickings I deserved, but otherwise, I'm not a bad wife. You ought to see all the clothes I wash, all the meals I make. Yeah, I burned a couple, but most of them were good. We don't look to works. We're going to go to Jehovah. We're not going to look at good works, or thinking that I got to be good enough in order to earn His favor. I got to forgive enough to be forgiven. I got to be kind enough in order to have His kindness. To inquire of Jehovah means I don't look to the world. I don't look at it from another human. I don't look at it from myself. I'm going to check out whether I am good enough. I'm not going to lean on my own understanding. I'm going to seek this assurance, this knowledge from Jehovah Himself. I'm going to find it as He has revealed Himself. God's revelation is not to be conceived of as parts. God's revelation instead is to be seen as something that goes forth from something in the middle. It's all one revelation, and it grows out of something at the very center. So it's not, I can gain a little knowledge of creation, Genesis 1, and think, well, that'll tell me. No. Genesis 1 and Revelation 21 to 22, everything in the Scriptures is all blooming forth from the heart of God's revelation. And the heart of God's revelation is that holy, glorious God saying, I have and I do still so love you that while you're yet sinners, I gave my Son to die for you. I slew Him according to my determinate counsel and foreknowledge. I willed that He would suffer and die. That He would live a life of perfect righteousness and still suffer and die. That's the heart of his revelation. Everything else, creation, eschatology, all of it comes back and flows forth from the cross. The life and the cross of Jesus Christ. That life, death, and resurrection, that's this. How is it that God can say to us, sinners, that's what we learned this week in examination, sinful sinners, keep sinning, how can he say to us, I love you? That holy God can say it because he says, I've taken away all your sin and all your sinfulness. It is so gone that I don't remember it anymore. The power of that life and death is that I behold at you as perfect as my Son. When he says that, you see beauty. You see the beauty of Jehovah. And that's why that desire is realized when God says in verse 8, would you look at me? This one thing I will seek after. I'm going to inquire about it. I want to know. God says, well, seek ye my face. Seek ye my face. At the risk of oversimplification, look up. Just look up at him. And what are you going to see? The devil doesn't want you to look up. The devil wants you to look down. The devil wants you to look around. The devil wants you to look inside. But he does not want you to look up. And we're scared to look up because we're fearful that he's going to be angry with us. But every time we look up, he makes his face to shine upon us. Every single one of you know what it is to walk into a house and you wonder what the face is going to indicate. And sometimes you don't even have to see the face. You can just see the stiffness of the back. And sometimes they're even unaware, but you're fearful because you know what they ought to be upset about. But when we walk into the house of the Lord, his face shines. It glows. That beauty that is within God to forgive sinners out of grace alone is so evident in his face as he shows himself. So the light of his countenance shines upon us. And it's all because he gave his Son. The essence, the continuing evidence and manifestation of the love of Jehovah is found in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died. When we were weak to be able to do anything good enough, he showed his face. Therefore, we can say, he's my light. and my salvation. But if verse 8 tells us that the answer to seeking Him is to seek His face, then the last verse, verse 14, shows to us this is experienced only in the way of our waiting on Jehovah. Wait on. He says it twice. Why does he have to say it twice? But to wait, not for, but wait on. To wait on someone is to serve them. Did you ever go to a restaurant and have a waiter and a waitress? You wait, he waits on. Wait on Jehovah is to serve Him. But what's the heart? What is the heart of waiting on someone? If you are being served by some waiter or waitress, they have learned how to improve the possibility of a good tip. They have to care about you. They have to show you that they care. They want you to know that they really care. How's the first bites? How are things going? Do you need anything else? Waiting on, they care. To wait on Jehovah, one word. Love Him. Learn, now I know we talk about this a lot, His love. But learn more and more what it is to love Jehovah. Agape Jehovah. That's what it is to wait on Him. If we don't love Him, we're not going to know His relationship to us correctly. We know in the way of loving God that all things work together for good to them who are the called according to His purpose. We know in the way of loving Him. If you are mad with Him, if you are challenging Him, if you are not trusting Him, if you are questioning Him, if you are ready to shake your fist at Him, if you don't love Him, you are not going to know what this means. And the only way to make this love for Him understandable in our minds and to grow is to behold His love for us. So wait on Jehovah. Wait, I say, on Jehovah. Love Him. Love Him, I say. And then, and only then, can you start at the beginning. He is my light. See, He causes the light of His face and the light of His countenance to shine on us. He is my light. He's the light of my life. He makes me shine and glow. He shows me beauty, and He gives me to be beautiful. He is the strength of my life. Beauty, strength. What is it to be strong? To know He cares, even if nobody else does. When father and mother forsake me, I know He will never. The strength of my life, He is my salvation. Eat and drink. His face shines on you. Seek ye Jehovah. Let us pray. Bless Thy word, Father, to us in all of its strength and power. by thy Spirit. He's got to make it possible for us to understand. He's got to make it understandable to us. He's got to work in us so that we are able to grasp and comprehend with all saints the length and the depth and the height and the breadth of thy love for us in Christ Jesus. Amen.